Andres Vasilev. He is the 2013 World Champion of Public Speaking and author of the popular training program, How to Master Compelling Storytelling. Press, please tell us, what was in your childhood that gave you strength, persistence, and motivation to do great things in your life?
Well, Aelita, I had a wonderful childhood. I was brought up by great parents. Now, at times, I had too much energy, so I was a bit difficult to handle. And even to this day, my wife tells me that I have a bit too much energy. That's right. But my mom encouraged in me the value of reading. She bought me books. That's the really great value I picked up from her, was reading. And to this day, I love reading books. My dad worked very hard, so I picked up from him the value of hard work and persistence. And while my parents were at work, my grandmother would take care of me.
So nice.
And yes, she taught me great values, one of which was discipline. As I said, I had a bit too much energy at times. But very great childhood, great memories, and really great parents and a great grandmother who brought me up well.
Oh, that's amazing. What was your very first speech about?
Oh yes, the first speech, what do we call in Toastmasters, the icebreaker.
Oh.
Yes, icebreaker. It was about coming to America. See, ever since I was a little boy, I read a book that inspired my dream to come to America. And when I was 19, I came to America as an international student by myself.
Wow.
Friends and family remained back in Bulgaria. And all I brought with me was big goals, big dreams, and a sexy accent.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you know about that,
Very
right?
Sexy.
So yes, I struggled with the English. And I still remember the first time someone told me something was, "What's up?" And I didn't even know what that meant. So I just said, "It's up." He kept walking. Then I have to find where I'm supposed to live on campus. So I went to another person and I asked, "Where's the suit?" And he looks at me like, "The suit?" And I'm like, he pointed across the street to a laundromat. And I'm looking at those washing machines going, and I'm thinking, is this where I'm supposed to live?
It's not the place.
It's not the place, right? So I'm showing him the address. He looks and says, "Oh, the suites. They're right here, the suites."
Oh.
So as you can see, I struggled with the language. I struggled with the culture. And at times, I felt really sad, and it pulled me down, that inability to communicate well. If you've had a low point in your life, you know how sometimes challenges can really make you lose confidence in yourself. And for years, I would suppress my voice. Until one day I had enough. I said to myself, "Prez, you live once. Why don't you take complete control of your communication skills?" So I started studying, reading. Over the years, I invested thousands of hours in books, tapes, classes, courses. And eventually, I joined Toastmasters to improve my public speaking skills.
Yes. What is one message you would give people, especially those whose English is a second language?
Great question. For me, I struggled with English. As you can see, I had my own dark moments. But the starting point of improvement was when I asked, especially my audience in Toastmasters, permission to give me feedback on my pronunciation.
So important.
Because here in America, a lot of people would feel that they would insult you or hurt your feelings if they comment on your accent or if they correct your pronunciation,
yes.
right? I gave my audience freedom. And when I would go to Toastmasters, and I went not in one, not in two, but in 6 clubs, I would go and work. That's right, 6 clubs. I would work on my skills several times a week. Because, you know, it's like a muscle. If you're going to go work out, you're going to go, several times a week. If you really want results, you're not going to do it twice a month, right? Or once a month. So I went there several times a week. And after each meeting, I would get this resource and all this feedback. But only because at the beginning of each meeting, I would say, "Friends, I'm here to learn and improve. You're not going to insult me. Please write down every word I mispronounce or you have a hard time understanding." And at the end of the meeting, I would gather all these lists of words, go on Google, and do my homework, practice pronunciation. So if English is your second language, I highly encourage you to give your audience permission to give you feedback on your pronunciation. Get those lists, go online and work on your pronunciation, because that's the master skill for me, communication. If you master that skill, especially when you speak confidently, eloquently from the stage, it opens doors. I mean, you cannot imagine what great people have come into my life through this journey. The great opportunities that come to life, the self-confidence. And once I started feeling more confident, I started creating better and better speeches. There's something amazing about that self-confidence. I believe that's the ultimate value we get from the self-improvement journey.
Oh yes, it's definitely. What helped to accelerate your growth as a speaker the most?
Oh, the growth as a speaker. Well, for me, when I joined Toastmasters and started speaking, I was initially intimidated by these 5 to 7 minute speeches. They were too long for a beginner. But see, the 2 to 3 minutes evaluations, I could handle that. And I fell in love with doing evaluations. That was the role I really love, because I just love analyzing speeches, dissecting them, giving feedback, helping others improve. This was my favorite role. So in the first few months, I would only give evaluations. I would sign up only for the evaluation role, and through that process, I picked up so many tools, tactics, and techniques. Then I transferred that process of evaluation outside of Toastmasters, and I started evaluating preachers, politicians, comedians, storytellers. And when it comes to storytelling, for 2 years before I won the World Championship of Public Speaking, I would go to Jonesboro, Tennessee for the National Storytelling Festival. It's an old little quaint town, and in the first weekend of October, they were going to erect these giant circus stands with thousands of chairs and big stages. And storytellers, the best storytellers from around the world, are going to come for this weekend and share stories. And I'm talking about long stories, 45 minutes to an hour stories. Wow. And you're sitting there and you're transported into the world of the story. Whole day, around me, grown-up people, thousands of them, listening to stories. But at the end of the day, I'm so exhausted, because you're not actually sitting in the chair, you're transported. You're on an emotional roller coaster, from the ups of humor to the downs of drama and back up to the humor. And I was exhausted. But out of those thousands of people, I was the only one with a notebook and a pen, evaluating the storytellers, picking up tools, tactics, techniques, asking myself, how can I apply this in my next speech? At one point, a woman sitting next to me looks and says, are you a student? And I looked at her and said, yeah, I'm a very serious student. So it was that experience, evaluation, whether it's evaluating a preacher or a politician or a comedian or a storyteller, that helped accelerate my growth, because I learned the art of speaking. And little did I know at that time that I would be using those tools, tactics, and techniques today as a professional speech coach.
And learned it from the best.
Yes, you would like to learn from those who have been there, done that. And then that's the beauty of this art of speaking and communication, that nothing is hidden. If you have the right perception, the right eyes and ears, you can capture those tools and tactics. And then you can study and learn, and you can uncover even more in the speeches of others. So nothing is hidden. It's not like finance, where you don't know what the secrets behind are, right? It's all in front of you, that art of speaking.
Certainly all your efforts paid off. What was your efforts for developing content?
I had actually a process. And it's a habit I developed many years ago, and that was journaling. Many years ago, I started journaling. At the end of the day, I would open up a page and type one page of what happened to me that day. I would put on the top what I learned today. And then I would list all the experiences, the fun experiences, the sad experiences, the great discoveries, the interesting moments, and I would capture them. And I would capture them and I would review them periodically. So when that experience happened, that I won the World Championship with the story about changing the tire, well, it actually happened on the way back home from a Toastmasters club. And I quickly got home and typed down all the details from that experience so that it's fresh and I captured it. Then months later, when the International Speech Contest came, I was browsing through my journal looking what story would resonate with an international audience, what story would be funny, what story would have good message. And I'm browsing and I'm like,
this one.
the Thai story.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend that you keep a journal and capture those experiences because we all go through life having these great moments. But if we don't write them down, you will forget them. And that gave me this content for my speeches, for my keynotes, years and years of journaling. Now I also have an interesting method of starting to work on the speech. I would actually speak and record. Imagine that I speak with a friend like you right now, or even speak with a friend and record that conversation and then transcribe it. Because when you transcribe, you capture this conversational style, the questions, the interjections, the fragments, the incomplete thoughts, and that's very conversational and normal. And you don't want your speech to sound stilted and written.
Like a robot.
Yeah, you don't want to sound like that.
I forgot what next word.
That's right, much more conversational. That's because it's less formal, more interesting, and you build a deeper emotional connection with your audience when you start with more conversational. So keep a journal and then transcribe your conversational style on paper, and then you can further work on that script and present it to an audience.
Very insightful. So do that and you may win. You won the World Championship of Public Speaking with the shortest speech in its history. Your speech had only 489 words. Why did you use so few words?
Great question. For me, as you know, the sexy accent, right? English being second language, I realized that I have to speak slower. So my audience can understand me. And whenever you have a time limit of 7 minutes and 30 seconds for the International Speech Contest, in order for you not to get disqualified, you need to stay within that time limit. And I realized I need to slow down. But what I discovered, Aelita, is that when you slow down, your words gain power. They're much more emphatic because you have more pauses. And it's the pause, the magic of the pause that emphasizes the word. When you have a humorous speech, you have 2,000 people laughing, that takes time. So I had to allow for audience response. And the bigger your audience, the longer the reactions take place. The stage was also big. So movement is a time killer. And the bigger the stage, the longer the movement takes. So that's something else that I have to consider. But here's the unbelievable thing. The best value was that it freed me completely not to worry about the words, because when you have such a short, long poem,
yeah, I saw that.
That's right. You internalize it, you memorize it easily,
right? So
that you are very present with your audience. You're not in your head thinking, "What's the next line? Right. What do I have to say next?" You're very present, and you can even react to their reactions. And that gives them the feeling of, wow, this person is so present, he's really having fun, and I had a lot of fun because I didn't worry about what I have to say. I knew it well. I just could enjoy the moment. So to this day, when I coach speakers, when I coach executives, I tell them, less is more. So look at your script, have a script first of all, write it down word for word, and look at that script and ask yourself, how can I pick up that question, that sentence, can I turn it into a phrase? Or can I pick up a phrase and just use a single word? Or can I use 4 or 5 syllable words that I've used and really substitute it with a shorter 1 or 2 syllable words? And what I do is I call the 4 to 5 syllable words monster words. I avoid them like a plague.
Good.
Especially when you speak in front of an international audience with a lot of immigrants, internationals whose English is a second, third, fourth language. The short and simple words work best. Easy to follow, easy to understand, less energy for you as a speaker to pronounce them, and it saves you time.
Right, yes, going to do that now.
Yes.
How does your wife support you in your public speaking journey?
Oh, great.
It's a good one, the good one.
It is. Well, Aelita, I'm very fortunate to be married to a great wife, Sarah. I still remember our first date. I took her to a restaurant and I was so excited to share my stories that I didn't stop talking the whole night. In fact, I don't remember she said a word during the day.
When someone talks, someone has to listen.
Correct. But check this out. A few weeks later, we're in her apartment and I'm looking at her bookshelf and she comes over, picks out a book and says, "You gotta read this." And I take the book, look at it, and the title is Just Listen.
She's very smart.
I think she was trying to send a message.
Yeah, and very tactful.
But to this day, when I'm not traveling, speaking or coaching, I'm practicing my listening skills with my wife, Sarah.
Oh, that's wonderful when you have such a wonderful wife that can listen you and you can practice. You are an international professional speaker. What motivated you to become a professional speech coach?
Oh yes, I love traveling around the world and delivering my motivational keynotes and storytelling workshops, but I also love working one-on-one with people. There is something about the magic of being able to work with someone and figure out what are these areas of improvement. And as you know, different people have different areas. Some are good with the writing, some need more help with the delivery.
Yes.
Some want to craft their stories, some want to really sharpen the humor and get some humor tactics and techniques. So I work with a wide variety of people, and Aelita, the biggest value here is that it gives me tremendous meaning in life. Great meaning that I'm doing something that serves other fellow beings. And the great thing is that I'm able to explain to myself and give me a reason of why I went through all these challenges. All the challenges with the language, all the culture shock, all the striving for winning the championship have paid off, where now I can pass on all the lessons, all the tools, tactics and techniques I've learned to someone else, so that I can at least make their journey a little bit more enjoyable and shorten their learning curve.
Oh, definitely, and they also have chance to become a better public speakers.
Absolutely, absolutely, and pass it on to someone else.
Right.
So, and of course, you know that the more you teach others, the better you learn something.
Yes.
They say that teaching is learning twice, because you need to internalize, you need to learn, and I learn from every client I have. I learn from every client, and it's beautiful that I'm able to transfer this skill of speaking into a coaching and training, so I can support people in different fields of life to share their story, whether it's winning a contest, for Toastmasters contests, or giving a presentation or a pitch at work, or doing an interview, or writing an essay for a college admission. Storytelling is everywhere nowadays.
Oh yes, everything and everywhere. And I feel so honored and delighted, coached by press. But it's so great, such a great experience, and I learned so many great things.
What are some things that you learned from that experience?
To be open to learn, to be humble, and to be creative. Do not be a robot on the stage, to be you.
Be you,
Yeah,
be you.
to be
And speaking of be you, your best resource as a speaker are your personal stories. So craft those personal stories. That's what I help my clients the most, really crafting their experiences into stories that can relate to others. And you can do that through the journaling process, by looking back at your life and recording every interesting experience, and then thinking, what's that message in that story? Why did it change my life? Why did it was so profound? And how can I really help others do the same? How can I pass on that message? Because, you know, a story is so memorable, so interesting, easy to follow, entertaining. And then if it has that powerful point at the end, the audience will remember you for a long, long time. All right, great, Aelita, great having you here today. And we're going to work on your humorous speech, right? I have dozens and dozens and dozens of comments in the Word file as to how you can improve your story and take it to the next level. So, thinking about the title here, this whole Zuzu crazy adventure, when I was reading it, it was hard for me to believe it. I'm like, is this really happen? Did this story really happen?
Yeah.
Or is it invented?
With me, everything can happen.
Great, awesome. I really love your sense of direction. Should I say the lack of it?
Well,
because for a humorous speech, you want to be very self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Self-deprecation is the most powerful humor tool, and I love that you have picked up a story that's very self-deprecating and you're poking fun at yourself. When you're in the center of the joke, that's best because the audience relaxes and they can laugh. So since the whole speech is about your sense of direction, I feel that we can put this as a funny title. Rather than having the zoo crazy adventure, do something more specific. I was thinking, and we have different options. What if we call it a not so good sense of direction?
But it will tell already everyone what they're going to expect.
Correct, because it is here. You are already starting the speech with it, so they already know. It's not something that you need to hide. See how early in the speech it is?
Yeah.
And I even suggest that you cut these first two paragraphs and start it started actually, why don't we start involving the audience? Raise your hand if you have a good sense of direction.
Yeah.
And this way it's gonna tie right with the title. There's no surprises. The surprise is what happened to you.
Right.
That's what they wanna hear. Right?
And I like to cut things. Rather
You
than
like
to
cutting
add,
things, right?
right?
So
Less is more.
Less is more. Wow, you've been listening to the interview. Oh, that's great. That's great. Less is more. A very powerful principle in script writing and in speaking is less is more, because the fewer words you have, the more time you have to really show and express emotion with your face, pauses, audience involvement, reaction to their reactions. So definitely. Now look at those two questions here. You are asking, what about your sense of direction? Raise your hands if you have a good sense of direction. See how redundant it is and repetitive?
Yeah.
Why ask the question twice?
Right.
So cut that first question and just start with raise your hands if you have a good sense of direction.
Great. Yeah, I like to
Just
cut.
start cut to the chase.
Right, straight to the point.
Now this is very important principle. You say raise your hands if you have a good sense of direction. A powerful speech has the feeling that you're speaking directly to each individual audience member. So imagine that the audience is one person and talk to one person. So raise your hand. Otherwise, it's almost like raise your hands.
Oh, so it's single.
So speak to one person. Raise your hand.
Oh, okay, yes.
Imagine that the whole audience is one person. That way, at the end of your speech, the audience is like, wow, Aelita really spoke directly to me. I can feel you spoke directly to me. You didn't speak to everybody, but you spoke personally to me.
Yeah, I got it.
So
Great.
raise your hand if you have a good sense of direction. Now notice here the colors. I have used, and I'm going to show you here, this is what I've used. Do you see different colors here?
Yes.
It's very good to use in your script colors. That way you can see the balance of tools. For example, when you're involving the audience with a you-focused question on a statement, I use the red color. It's good now when we have the session so we can zoom out like that and see, are we involving this audience? Here, I added here another you-focused question. Periodically, you want to involve them. Otherwise, you're too much into your story and there is not much audience involvement. Also, at the end, when you're delivering your point again, involve them with the you focus. Once again, colors, right? Colors. Red color for audience interaction. Blue is for dialogue. When the characters are speaking in the story, use blue color so that you can cut the annoying quotation marks. You know how quotation marks clutter the script?
Yes, it is.
And why clutter the script with quotation marks when you can just change the color and have the dialogue pop out in blue?
Oh, yes.
Correct. And when you zoom out, you can see if the dialogue is in a really balanced way, if the you-focused involvement is in a balanced way. So I use red for you-focused involvement, black for the narration, past tense, or whenever you're narrating. And then present is the dialogue. That's where the powerful part is, where the really emotions and words of characters comes to life. Blue. When you have a humorous speech, and that's what I did for my Change by Attire speech, in my script I would use bold face for the punch words and punch lines to remind me to pause after them so that the audience can laugh. So use bold face for the punch words and punch lines to remind you to pause so they can laugh. I love that you're taking notes. You're a good student, Aelita. And I like here the self-deprecation. I have such a poor sense of direction that even my dog Wilson says, I will not go with you in the car. It's a powerful tool called personification. What Aelita does is she's giving human qualities to her dog, Wilson. And that's personification, giving human qualities to animals, to nature, to objects. Now, how are you going to deliver this dialogue? Let me see your delivery. How are you going to deliver that part?
I have such a poor sense of direction that even my dog Wilson says, I'll not go with you in the car.
I like how you paused after, I'll not go with you in the car.
Oh, this I like in the car.
Yeah. In the car.
Oh.
So
yeah,
you can be a bit
good.
more playful with your face, because here's the danger. When you come down, your hair comes in front and blocks you. You know, and you don't want that.
Yeah, I will have...
Make sure you keep your hair up.
I will keep
and also be a bit more playful, like let the dog show you like a, are you kidding me type of expression. Don't say are you kidding me, but show it.
Yeah. Not on the rush, I can
See?
slow it down.
Exactly. Yeah. Now that that's the greatest value of cutting words. When you cut words, you have more time for facial expressions, and you're very expressive. You can use your face, your reactions, right? So slow down, and you're like, I'll not go with you in the car. See, so they can probably laugh. We are expecting laughter. They laughed anyway.
Yeah.
But now when you break it like that, they're gonna first laugh that I will not go with you, and they're gonna laugh on in the car.
Oh.
Now, rather than saying once upon a time in Zuzu town, that takes too much time. Once upon a time in Zuzu town. Remember, count your syllables. Once upon a time in Zuzu town.
Yes.
9 syllables.
Oh.
How about last spring or last year or last month or whatever you want to do here?
Yeah, last year. I think last year.
Last year. Let's do last year. Do not waste too many words, especially for the humorous contest, for non-funny parts.
Yeah, it's just
you want to get the what I've seen, the winning speeches usually have shorter distance from punchline to punchline. They pack a lot of punchlines, they shorten the distance by removing or shortening the non-funny material. You still need to have non-funny material to set up the jokes and also to create some variety. You cannot have them laughing all the time, right? You gotta have these moments where they gather their breath and get ready for the next joke.
Yeah.
So reduce the distance. Now here's the other thing. To arrange a showing of my award-winning patriotic film, Sam's Firecracker.
Okay.
So I know you're promoting yourself here, but that's the point. The judges may think exactly the same and say she's just trying to promote her services here. She's not trying to compete, she's just promoting herself. And the other thing is, whenever you're humble, in a contest, in speech is better, you know, that's not a marketing or pitch or promotion, that's a humorous contest. So, and again, Sam's Firecracker adds unnecessary detail that may confuse the audience. Better say a screening of my film.
Screening of my film.
Short and sweet, right? Look at how many words you save.
Yeah, many.
I like here, I don't trust GPS because one time. Can you say once? One time is 2 syllables.
Yes.
Once is 1. See, we are substituting two syllables for one. And remember, you may think that that's nothing to cut a syllable, but cut a syllable here, syllable there, they add up, and suddenly you've cut hundreds of words.
And this accumulates a good sizable amount of unnecessary words.
Yes, it's like chiseling a statue out of the marble. Imagine how what they do. The same way here, you have a statue in that script that we need to liberate and free by chiseling it out. Because once when I was driving in the middle of a bridge, I know that's a very common thing. English is my second language too. In the beginning I struggled tremendously with the where do I use the, where do I say right? So if you say here in the middle of the bridge, you're speaking about some specific bridge that they already know, but they don't know yet. So it is a bridge. And that's funny. My GPS told me to make a right turn. That's crazy, right? And you're gonna say like, duh. Now here's my suggestion here. After you deliver that, say, I tried. In a way to make it even worse. Because you're like, in the middle of it, I tried, and that's gonna be fun because they're gonna be like, Aelita is so, so crazy.
Not smart.
And that's what I'm saying, right? So again, it's self-deprecation.
Okay.
You want to poke fun at yourself. My GPS told me to make a right turn.
Pause.
I tried, and then they laugh, and then you say, anyway. This anyway would be also funny because you're changing the subject, you know what I'm saying?
So it's okay, do not tell them end of the story. Well, I'm here, doesn't mean I didn't do
correct.
it.
But here's the funny thing. This is a specific humorous tactic called taglines, building taglines. In comedy, the first laugh is the punchline. Yeah. And then you can build on it. If you remember from the course, How to Master Compelling Storytelling.
Humor, very nice chapter.
There was a great module on humor. I was explaining how once you deliver the punchline, now you can follow and build on it with another joke, and then take an even more outrageous line to build the laughter even higher. Yeah. And that way you milk more laughs. Rather than making them laugh once at this point, you get 3 laughs.
Oh yes, let's do that. Let's get 3 laughs.
3 laughs instead of 1, right?
I tried.
So, and it's how you deliver it. Let me see you delivering it. Go ahead and start from my GPS told me to make a right turn.
My GPS told me to make a right turn.
But deliver it like with a disbelief. Can you imagine?
Yeah. My GPS told me to make a right turn. I tried. Anyway.
Yes, yeah, I tried. Anyway. Like that. As if you're like, I don't even talk more about that.
I don't remember how long I was sleeping.
And that's funny because you're implying that there was more, and they're like, oh my gosh. And when you imply something, what they imagine in their head can be even magnified because they imagine their own pictures.
Swimming in the river.
Correct. Now, after that, you said this. That's why I use Google Maps.
I have to have pause, right? I tried.
Correct. Absolutely. I tried. Like almost like I tried. Yeah. I tried. Almost like frustrated. Yes. I tried. But you want to kind of deliver it with emotion and power because when you throw at the audience emotion,
I tried.
Yes, you create emotion in them just by the emotion and the volume and plus gives you vocal variety, right? Frustration is a very powerful emotion in storytelling, especially in a humorous story. The more frustrated you are, the funnier it becomes for the audience. And there's a concept. It's called Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude is a German word for laughing at the misfortune of others.
Oh yes!
That's what Schadenfreude is. Schadenfreude.
Robin Williams loved this.
So Schadenfreude, and the worse you make the story for yourself, the worse the conditions become for you, the funnier it becomes for your audience because they're laughing. Yourself. Yeah, you're putting them on a higher ground where they laugh down on you. Yeah. They feel superior. They're like, oh, I'm so good, I'm much more intelligent and I wouldn't make this sense. And you give them that freedom to laugh. Otherwise, you don't want them embarrassed, you want to put them on a higher ground. Here's a suggestion, if you're going to test more laughs, why don't you try this? That's why I used a much better tool, Google Maps. And use a little bit of a misdirection. Remember the concept of misdirection?
Oh, yes.
Where you are letting them think that you're going one way, but then you are suddenly going the other way. So misdirection, set up the wrong expectation. They're thinking, what can be better than GPS, right? And you say Google Maps. I didn't realize it was the same place I park every other week. The same place I park every other week. Place is shorter than legion, 2 syllables, legion, place is 1. And look at this, when you put place, guess what it gives you? Place and park. It's a nice alliteration, right? That's the 2, alliteration, repetition of successive beginning sounds. I didn't, and you delivered it like, I didn't realize it was the same place I park every other week.
Oh yeah.
Like that. And then, for Toastmasters. And then you build another one, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you pause here playfully, you pause, let them laugh on every other week, and then say, for Toastmasters. And here the pause is so powerful. Remember the power of the pause. It was the same park I park every other week.
Every other week.
For Toastmasters. So see how it and cut meetings. That's very important. Once you say Toastmasters, they already know where the things are going. So you don't need to step on the laughs. That's very important principle. Always put your punch word, the words that causes the laugh, at the end of the line.
Right.
So that they don't start laughing and you're cutting them off with the rest of the sentence and stepping on your laughs. You don't want to do that. So that's why end on Toastmasters, right? Now here's something interesting. You've already made them laugh. Now here's where you can again ask a you-focused question and say, did I mention I have a poor sense of direction?
Oh, that's good. Like reminder.
Correct. And this is called callback. Another powerful tactic in humor is callback. Once you've made them laugh, once you've found that punchline, why not call back to it later and tap in that same humorous energy that they've already anchored to that word? Once you've made them laugh with that word, every time you mention the same word, they're going to giggle because they remember the first emotion that you created in them was the laugh. So, did I mention I have a poor sense of direction? Deliver it a little bit like an aside, and it's a good, asides are great because they give you variety. It's not just story, but no, you kind of pause and very playfully, conversationally involve them. So this is a chance of a you-focus involvement with a callback to the title and the theme. The theme is all about your sense of direction.
Yes.
And what I was thinking here, why don't we start making them laugh before you even open your mouth?
Oh yeah.
When you walk to the Toastmaster, maybe start walking in the other direction and then go and shake the hand. Because imagine he's going to read your title and then they're going to start clapping. And when you come on stage, start going the other direction and then go to him. So now you are getting in the role and you're supporting your theme of being with poor sense of direction.
I got lost. Oh wow, that's gold. Yeah, I like that. I love that.
And now the title sets up expectation and then you start validating it just by your entrance. It's all about being creative. You talked about the importance of creativity. Find something that you can do to separate you from the rest. And say, wow, she's really into it. And she's funny and she really puts effort and creativity in every part of her presentation, even before she starts it, by her entrance. A short script, it allows you playfulness, it allows you freedom, you're not worried about the clock anymore, you're worried about just putting your best face.
I like that.
So here, look at this. I came to the Legion and discussed the possibility. Monster words. Remember what we talked about, the 4 and 5 syllable words? Monster words, especially when you're speaking and you have an accent and you have an international audience. So make it easy for you, make it easy for the audience and simplify it here. I came to the Legion and discussed the chance to show my film. That's it, to show my film. We are not going to name the film, my film. That's it, save time. Because did they laugh at this with the Legion's bartender? Maybe soon to be manager.
No, they didn't really. They just smiled, chuckled.
Okay, that's okay. If they chuckle and smile, that's fine because you don't want only big laughs. There's the beauty of building to a crescendo, starting with the chuckle here and then belly laughs and then a little chuckles. It's more enjoyable. It's a great variety. Rather than say who looked like, put period here, pause, and also break the sentences. Rather than have one long sentence, break it in 2 shorter ones. And then she needed, and rather than saying desperately, you can deliver it like, she needed. She needed. That shows the desperation is the way you deliver needed.
It's a facial expression.
So writers use adverbs because they don't have the tone of voice and they don't have the face. That's why writers have only one channel and that's the word. That's why they use adverbs. But you have emotion, you have face, you have tone of voice. So you can color the word needed with desperation so that you don't need to say desperately. Pause before the punchline so you can emphasize it. If you punch, you pull them in with your pause and then you punch them with your punchline afterwards. So you draw them in,
what she needed,
pause, and then hit them in.
Want to know
a charisma. Yes. We agreed to meet in a week, rather than to meet in 1 week. And I drove back home. Remind them that you are driving.
Sense of direction, reminder.
Of course. The speech is not about food. I know what you're trying to do. It reminds me of a glorious food, right? One of your taxi drivers of a previous speech. And that's a great tactic for you guys who are watching us now. If you have a joke or something that worked better in another speech and you have a new presentation or do something new, why not bring it back and use your favorites, your best hits, right? But here, the theme is not about food.
It distracts them,
it distracts them
to different directions.
Plus, you want to get closer to the jokes, faster to the next joke. Your goal,
punchline.
Once you get a punchline, your goal is to get as fast as you can to the next punchline. Shorten the distance between the punchlines. That's when you can pack more jokes, make them laugh longer, and the judges will be, wow, she'll get everybody laughing from the start to finish. This is what I call a completely unnecessary detail that may confuse something. So you need to make sure you look at your details in your speech and ask yourself, is this a necessary detail or can I cut it and simplify? Suspecting nothing, I arrived on the other side of the same building.
Oh, this is a good one,
I was surprised to see the same guy mowing the lawn that I saw just an hour ago. Make it shorter because you went home 8 and just an hour ago, right? Make it short. I thought, wow, he's quick. You can even cut I thought. I don't think you even need I thought. You can say, wow, he's quick. Look at this. Rather than say, wow, he is quick, wow, he's quick. Why do I use a contraction here? The contraction also, rather than say he is, his, is more conversational and also shortens the punchline. And the shorter the punchline, the more energy you pack, the more humorous energy you pack, the bigger the laughs. Comedians spend hours working on their jokes. How do I take 10 syllable word, bring it to closer, or how can I take a 5-word punchline and make it a 3-word punchline, or maybe 1-word punchline. So the shorter it is, the more humorous energy you pack, and the bigger the audience reaction. But still, nothing. And you can use the stage whisper, like nothing.
And silence.
That's
silence.
And it's good because it's variety. Remember, you're judged not only on the jokes, but on the structure of the speech, on your vocal variety, on your gestures, on your facial expressions, on your movement, on the audience interaction. There are a lot of judging elements in the speech. Here you can say, so guess who I asked for help?
Oh, good.
Involve them.
Question.
Stop and give a question.
Yes, that's very good.
And rather than say the landscaper, why don't we give him a name to be more playful? What if we call him Mr. Quick Mower? Because you've already said the joke quick. Remember the word quick is already a joke. Wow, he's quick. So guess who I asked for help? Mr. Quick Mower.
Mr. Quick Mower. Oh yeah, that's
cool. Because you're giving him a name. And nickname. Nicknames are very powerful.
Funny.
It's funny. Nickname. Mr. Fast Mower. Mr. Quick Mower.
Quick
Mower is better because quick you've already used quick.
Right.
And if you look at and what makes names and punchlines funnier is if you can do alliteration. Playing with sounds, always play with the sounds, right for the ear, because your audience never sees words, they only hear sounds. And when you say Mr. Quick Mower,
it sounds more funny than fast mower.
Correct, because you have the Mr. and Mower, the alliteration of M, and then you have Mr. Mower. You have a rhyme, alliteration and rhyme.
And quick in between.
Like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is alliteration with rhyme. So Mr. Mower is alliteration with rhyme. But we're adding here quick. And let me tell you something about the word quick. It's very powerful from a humorous point of view because the funniest sound in comedy is K, the K sound, the K. Because it's a plosive sound, it explodes.
Cuckoo. He's cuckoo.
I like that word cuckoo. I actually suggested it later on. You wouldn't believe it. I'm so surprised. We think alike. That's great. Wow. She is ready. But yeah, that's right. The K sound is so funny. And you have it twice in quick. At the start, at the beginning of the word and at the end of the word. Quick. It's like Mr. Quick Mower. I like how you have a lot Jokes with K. Like car, like quick.
Q sound. It's
quick,
still associated with the
like
sound.
Car, like quick, like back door. So I did. And you can you can say like I did. Sorry. Wow, she's dangerous. Be careful, she can kill you with the pen.
There's a little weapon hidden here.
So here's what you can say. You can say I did. I didn't know I had to use Google Maps.
Oh yes.
Like you're boasting, like you are like bragging about it.
Yes.
When I finally made it outside, Mr. Quick Mower was still mowing.
Oh yeah, that's so funny.
Because it's irony, right? Mr. Quick Mower, well, he's not very quick if he's still mowing, right?
Yeah.
When I finally made it outside, Mr. Quick Mower was still mowing.
Yeah, that is funny. It's hilarious.
Yes, because it's an irony, right? It's a contradiction, right? Because the nickname you gave him actually does not fit the character.
Right.
And anytime you have inconsistency, is a fertile ground for humor. Any incongruency, inconsistency, great for humor. And this is more conversational. Rather than say, imagine what would he say, imagine what he'd say. Let me see how you deliver it.
Don't do that again.
Yeah, that's one. Or like, don't do that again. Or like, don't do that. Or like, don't do that, please.
No, I like the first one.
That's the great thing about humor. You can play and experiment with different tone of voice, with different face, with different facial expression, and it's all about having fun with it. Notice how we involve the audience, right?
Yes, involve the audience with the questions.
And you are creating a transition. It's a conversational transition that now leads us from the story to the message. And every speech, no matter whether it's humorous or not, it's good to have a message, a take-home message for the audience. The value of working with a coach is because you create this discussion, this mastermind in which we can bounce off ideas.
Creative process.
And when I tell you something that, this reminds me, why not this, or what if we do that? So that's the value of working with a coach. To improve your public speaking skills, record every speech you give. And that's what I did, and helped me tremendously in my growth as a speaker. The ancient Greeks say, know thyself. Know who you are, your strengths, your weak areas, your style. And then, once you record yourself, study that recording in 4 ways. Number 1, just listen to your voice. Can you hear vocal variety? Variety in pauses, pitch, tempo, emotion. Can you feel emotion? Can you hear the emotion behind the words? How about your pauses? Do you pause long enough? Is there variety in the pauses? Number 2, watch your video without the sound. That's right, just see if your body tells your story. Are there any distracting movements or gestures? Number 3, watch your video with the sound on and see if what you say matches what you show, if your gestures support your words and ideas. And number 4, watch your speech in fast-forward mode. That way, if you have any repetitive gestures, they're going to really stick out because you shorten the distance between those gestures and you will be able to improve them. Another powerful suggestion I can give you is work on your stories. Craft your personal stories. Remember, your personal stories are your best resource as a speaker. They connect best with your audience. And I have a great resource for you. My online storytelling course, How to Master Compelling Storytelling. It's a complete step-by-step system of how to find, craft, and deliver compelling stories easily, so you can speak better, lead better, win speech contests, get promoted faster. And here's the great news. When you join the course, you gain lifetime access to it, so you can go through the training at your own pace. And you can join the course at my website, pressays.com. And that's PRESSAYS.com.
Thank you so much, Press, for a very insightful interview. And I want to tell you something, that I bought this magic course. It's absolutely fantastic. Press had compilation from many different resources, and it helped me to craft much better my speeches, my presentations for my business and for fun.